Hi, Pastor Zach here. Thank you so much for stopping by. And today I brought you outside because it's actually pretty nice out today, and thought maybe we'd enjoy some of this nice weather out here while we're learning more about how to study the Bible. And today we're going to be talking about study Bibles. Now, it's real important to know how to use a study Bible, because when you're first starting out, a study Bible is one of those really helpful tools. And even for me, I use study Bibles quite a bit when I'm doing my own personal study, and when I'm studying for sermons and that kind of thing. So there's definitely a lot to be gained by using a study Bible. But we're going to start off with a warning. And this is as we really start to get into these helps, because it really applies for all of the helps, not just study Bibles. When it comes time to use some sort of help, you want to make sure that you're using the help to assist you in studying, not to replace your study. The goal is not to read a commentary and just take that as the meaning of the text and walk away and not go any further. The reason for using these helps is to help you in your process of going through the text. And these helps are especially, it feels like you're borrowing a lot more from the helps, especially when you're first starting out, because you're learning everything new. You're learning everything that you are going to be using in the future. You're learning new tips, new tricks, new things about the Bible that you wouldn't otherwise have. And so, as we go through this, the goal is not to read the study notes and just take it for granted that that's the most that you can go into any of these texts. The point of the study notes and all of the helps in study Bibles are really to help you, as you're going through your process, learn how to go through the text and answer some of the questions that you're going to have right on the surface of the text. And so as we jump into this, keep that in mind, that this is part of the study process. This is not all of the study process. There is so much more that goes into study, but this is something that's going to be of real value, especially if you don't have a whole lot of introduction into the Bible. You don't have a whole lot of experience working your way through the Bible. And so, as the neat thing about study Bibles is because, for one, the text is right next to the help. So as you're reading through, you can page through on either side, and pretty much everything that you need is right there in that general area. The study Bible is not necessarily a help on and of its own. It's a collection of different resources within a Bible that helps you understand the Bible better. Okay, so a traditional study Bible is going to be made up of the following kind of items within the study Bible. You're going to have usually one translation of the Bible. You're going to have introductions to the Bible itself. You're going to have articles that introduce the books of the Bible, maybe larger chunks of scripture. So you'll get, like, the Pentateuch is the first 5 books of the Bible. So you might get a help that walks you through those first 5 books, teaches you about how they fit together, where they came in. You're getting resources that are teaching you about what the study, what the book, who the original audience was, all of those important things that we said you need when we talked about the introduction to Bible study. A lot of the resources that you need for that kind of thing. So you're getting who wrote the book, when they wrote it, who they wrote it to, what are some of the social things that are going on in the world at that time. And you'll also find some other helps alongside that. You'll find maps that help explain the geography of the area, where the area was. It's very interesting when you're going through different epistles and you start seeing how close all of these cities were, and you start to realize, the epistles are the early church letters that a lot of the early church leaders wrote to churches to help them out. And so Paul wrote a bunch of prison epistles from prison, and most of those went to the same area, same general area. And so in that area, those churches actually exchanged the letters. One church would read them, that church would read them, and you actually find that there's teaching that overlaps but fills in different areas of the text. So you can be reading Philippians, Ephesians, Colossians, and you can actually take some of those books and you can read about a topic in one of those books and then go over to the other book and learn more about it. Now, a study Bible will actually point that out for you. Study Bible will say, hey, this book was written here to this group, but it might have been circulated out to other people. Here's some of the other people that would have gotten it. The text, here's how it falls in line with the rest of the Bible. Here's how it falls in line with the rest of Scripture. And so you'll get a lot of help to help you place where that text is and how it applies. Another thing in the introductions that they'll oftentimes point out to you is what kind of arguments are being made in this book. What is the flow? Usually there will be an outline that helps explain to you the different topics that are covered in the book. It might talk about the type of literature it is. Different books of the Bible are different types of literature. Different authors have different ways of writing. And so as you're going through that text, you'll actually see where the Bible is, where the study Bible helps point out for you what kind of text it was, what kind of things to look out for in the writing, and they'll highlight major themes that you're going to be wanting to look for as you read through. Okay, so there's a lot of articles. Increasingly, most recently, a lot of the newer study Bibles are including even more articles. Articles about how to study the Bible, articles about how to different topics that are covered by the Bible, how to look into them. A lot of them are very contemporary articles. You'll get a lot of articles on maybe ethics, and you'll get articles about different topics that come up that explain what the Bible has to say on that topic and where you want to be looking to find out more about that topic and what the Bible has to say about it. And so there's definitely a lot of articles, especially now. The study Bibles, this is my ESV Study Bible, are getting incredibly thick. They're very, very large resources, in large part because they're adding a lot more text into them. They're adding a lot more resource and articles, that kind of thing. Another thing you're going to notice in your study Bible, and you can turn to the front, the chapter of contents, to kind of see how it's laid out, what kind of articles they have, where the books lay out, and where all that falls in your specific, especially the types of helps that your study Bible has will be right up there in the front. It'll also have notes as you're going through the Bible, and the purpose of these notes are not, it's kind of like a mini commentary going through the Bible. Commentary is just a book that explains what's going on inside the text, maybe some of the themes, different things that you need to pick up on. But they're not going to be, the notes aren't quite as detailed as what you'll find in an actual commentary. There's just not enough room for all of it. But they're increasingly including a lot more notes. Now, as you go through these notes are going to really be a resource to help you understand what different themes are. Maybe a topic's brought up that is not something that's very common to us, especially in our context, and it'll take a little bit of time and explain to you where that came from, why that's a big deal. And so reading through, as you're reading through the text and you're really trying to study, this is a really helpful thing, because if you find yourself reading through the Bible and you encounter something that you're not quite understanding, or you encounter a topic that seems like, what are they trying to say here? There's a little bit of guidance at the bottom of the page there that's meant to help you understand what you're reading and what you're looking at. And most often, the way the notes work, in fact, I'm just going to grab my ESV Study Bible here, and we're gonna turn open to a page here, and I'm gonna show it to you. I don't even know if you can read it. I don't think you can read it, so we'll pop one up on the screen here for you. But something to note is the corresponding note usually has the verse in front of it that it's talking about. Sometimes it's a larger group of text that they put a note in about, and sometimes it's just that individual one. A lot of times they'll highlight the specific word or phrasing that they're talking about, and you might get a little bit of the original languages in those notes, usually not a lot. You're not getting a lot of really, really deep content. And then towards the back, you'll find some other helps. You'll find maybe a dictionary to help explain some of the words that you might have trouble with. You'll find, if you want to find out more about those words, sometimes you'll find a concordance, which is a listing of verses, a listing of topics, and the corresponding verses that go along with those topics. If you want to look up a specific topic and you want to learn more about that topic, or maybe you were reading through your passage and you saw a topic and you want to know where else in the Bible that topic text talked about, a concordance is a great place to go to. Now, one thing to really note about these study Bibles is that the resources are very minimal. They're just top overview kind of resources. If you go out and you buy a specific concordance, an exhaustive concordance is usually what they'll call them, meaning it covers as many topics as they possibly can with as many verses on each topic as they possibly can. You're not going to find that in the study Bible. You're going to find an overview. You're going to find maybe, a slightly shorter list of topics, and you're going to find 3, maybe 5 verses per topic, just to help give you a general idea. Now, for the average person doing the average study, it doesn't matter. That's enough to at least get you moving in the right direction to get things going for you. Now, as you progress, you're probably going to, especially if you get into a specific topic, we're going to talk about looking at character studies, looking at specific topics in future videos. But as you start doing those kinds of things, you might hit a ceiling where you say, you know what I have available to me in my study Bible is just not enough. It just isn't enough to do the kind of to find the kinds of verses that I'm looking for, maybe as many. And a lot of those helps are available. We talked about online resources, that kind of thing. You can type in, if you go back to the online resources, you can see me on ESV.org typing in a topic and looking through and learning a little bit more about that. I think I did that I typed in a topic, looked at the verses that word popped up in the text on the ESV.org website. I did that in the Introduction to Bible Study video. And so you can see how some of that works. Now, there's an inherent problem. What if a topic doesn't use that exact word? You're going to have a hard time searching for it, right? And that's where a concordance can be really helpful. So we're going to go through some of those more intricate details about those study helps in the future. But just to give you an overview, it's a resource that's available in your study Bible. And so you should know how to use the resources that are readily available in your study Bible there for you. Now, it used to be, back in the day, the original study Bibles were written by Bible scholars that took a translation and they just put their notes, maybe articles that they had written, study notes, and they created their own study Bible. Increasingly, since about the 90s, the more popular move has been for translations to start writing their own. So a publisher that has a translation will start writing their own study Bible. So you see today the ESV Study Bible is put out by the publisher. It's not put out by a separate. They have Bible teachers that write the text and come up with it. And much more often, I like this approach because they actually use a lot more scholars. So, like I have a Ryrie Study Bible or John MacArthur Study Bible, some of these other Bible teachers, if you have a Bible teacher that you like, they'll write their own study Bible, and they might have some influence from other people. But it's nice to be able to get a study Bible that's been written by a group of people, so that as you're going through your notes and you're going through Job, the person who is best suited to talk about Job is the one writing your notes for Job. Much like a commentary, and so like most commentaries, there's the occasional commentaries that are written by one individual person, and that's not bad. But I like having the person that is best suited for that text teaching you that text. And so you see the NIV Zondervan Study Bible, the Christian Standard Bible Study Bible, the English Standard Version of the ESV Study Bible, the New Living Translation Life Application Study Bible. Increasingly, that's the trend. The trend is for different publishers to use their translation, write their own study Bible with their own resources. And that's increasingly what we're seeing. And so I want to give you, these are not full reviews of these study Bibles. I'm not going over a lot of detail because for the average person you really don't need it. But I want to give you a couple highlights of some of the study Bibles that I've read through and show you some of the differences and some of the resources that are available for you. When I talked about translations, I talked a little bit about this, and the point that I really want to drive home from what I talked about when I talked about translations. In fact, if you don't know much about translations, it's in the Bible study series. You can go back, if you go back in YouTube, you can go to the playlist and find my video on translations if you want to learn more about how to pick out a good translation. I go over that there. So I'm not going to repeat all of it, but something that I think is worth repeating is the fact that when you get a study Bible or a primary resource like that you're using, you want to make sure that it's in a translation that you can read, right? It's in a translation that you're going to enjoy reading, that you're not struggling with. And so it does you a lot of good to learn what translation you like first. So maybe go back, revisit that video before you actually run out and buy a study Bible or you start looking for it, because like I said, increasingly really what it comes down to, if you want, and a lot of study Bibles are relatively similar. When you're picking out that study Bible, you want to make sure it's in a text that you're going to be okay reading and that you're going to be able to, because I'm a little odd. I've got about 5 different study Bibles, and I translate. I switch in and out of those all the time. You may not be looking to do that. I'm a little bit of an oddity in that I've got several different study Bibles that I read for different reasons. And so the nice thing about these newer study Bibles as well, as opposed to the ones that were written by a specific scholar in the past, was that they cover a lot more ground, is my experience. The notes are a lot more comprehensive, they cover more topics that you might not be, and they go into a little more depth than maybe some of the original study Bibles written by original authors. That's my personal opinion. You can feel free to disagree with it, but that's what I think. So let's take a look at a couple here. And as I laid out the continuum previously, we talked about in the translation video, we talked about how translations are literal to figurative, literal to how translations go from literal translations of trying to be word for word to how they want to be to others that are more thought for thought, meaning how they translate the text. If you want to learn more about that, please go back to that video. So there's definitely different study Bibles based on what you want your primary study Bible to be. 2 that I highly recommend if you're going to be studying through the Bible is the ESV and the NIV. 2 very solid translations. And I've been reading quite a bit of the Christian Standard Bible. I really like it. I like that translation a lot. I liked the Holman. It's based on the Holman Christian Standard Bible, I think is what it was called. I should call it the Holman Bible. But the Holman translation, I like that too. Now, I never got a Holman Study Bible, and I never got I haven't gotten the Christian Standard Bible yet, so I can't tell you too much about it. What I've reviewed online, it looks like a pretty solid one. It doesn't look like it has quite as many resources and notes as the ESV and the NIV, but if you've read it and you know a lot more about it, please leave me a note, let me know about it. I'm probably going to be getting it at some point here to be able to really get into it, but apart from that, it's a very new study Bible. Study Bible technically came out this year, and I think 2016 was the first year for the Christian Standard Bible. You can get online and read the text of the Bible for free on a resource like Bible Gateway. It's one that I talk about quite a bit. And so that's something that you definitely have available to you. Now, this is my ESV Study Bible. This is one of them. I've got a couple different ESV Study Bibles. I've got this one it's a fake leather, and the reason you might want to get a Bible in a fake leather is because usually they hold up quite a bit. I've had this for a long time. I got this when the ESV Study Bible came out. You can see my triangle starting to fray a little bit there. My corners are starting to show a little bit of wear. And but traditionally, when you get this is a True Tone Bible, you can see right there on the back it says that it's True Tone, which is a fake leather. And so the reason you might want to get a fake leather is to they tend to hold up a lot better than the actual leather Bible. So if you're traveling around with it quite a bit and it's taken a little bit of abuse like mine has, you can see right there on the edge there's a couple marks and scars from it getting caught on different things, thrown in my backpack. And so that's just to give you a little bit of an idea as to some of the bindings and what you can get, or some of the outside covers, what you can get. When you're getting a study Bible, it's very important that you get something that's going to hold up, because they go through a lot of abuse. And you can even see here, when you open up to my introductory chapters, this happens in almost all of my Bibles, let alone study Bibles. You might be able to see, I don't know if you can see too well there, my front page is all bent up. It just happens. It just happens. They're increasingly getting better with these pages, but it's a hard thing to. There's so many pages. They got to make them real thin. It's so hard to get real quality paper in there, but they're increasingly doing better at that. And so this is my ESV one. I like the ESV Study Bible. The ESV Study Bible is a put out by Crossway, who puts out the ESV translation, and there's quite a few resources. All of the articles I told you about before, they're usually in Study Bible. You're going to find in here. It's color print, which is very appealing. There's a lot of different. You can see as you're reading through the text. Try to bring this up close for you. You can see sometimes they'll throw like a map right there in your notes for you to see exactly what they're talking about, where they're going through, and has Bible reading plan. A lot of the stuff you can get online. A bunch of nicer maps in the back. But this is a really nice study Bible. This is something that you have available to you. I also recommend the NIV Zondervan Study Bible. If you've been with me for any amount of time, I have the hardest time getting this name right, because I used to have a Zondervan NIV Study Bible. This is the NIV Zondervan Study Bible, the new one. But it looks like this. This is the hardback edition. This is a hardback one that has it's just a traditional cover on it there. It doesn't even pretend to be leather. And this one is very, very similar. I've said before that I think when they were piecing together the NIV Zondervan Study Bible, now they did have the previous version was a very, very good, and it kind of was one of the default study Bibles people use, the Zondervan NIV Study Bible. It was a very good study Bible. This they've definitely improved upon, has the newer NIV text, and it is definitely an improvement over the previous. But I think they kind of tried to go the direction of the ESV. They realized how much the ESV Study Bible was stealing people away from the Zondervan NIV Study Bible, caused them to want to come out with a new one. Has a lot of the exact same types of things, full color, just like the ESV. Has a lot of the same kinds of articles, resources, concordance, all of that kind of thing. And you will also see, as you're going through these Bibles, another really cool resource is they will include for you cross references. And so cross references are those if you're reading through the text and you see a lot of times they'll have text on both sides of the page, not meaning the front and back, but you're looking at one side of the page, and they'll have a double column. And usually going down the center, they'll have a bunch of verses right there with verse numbers that they're tied to show you in the text. And those are cross-references. So those are to show you where in the Bible that kind of teaching, that kind of topic that's being covered in the text that you're going through, where it's coming up in somewhere else in the Bible. So you can go and you can reference that to get a little bit more understanding. And it might even be something that's being quoted or something like that. Here's another one. This is an oldie but a goodie for me. This is the Life Application Study Bible. It's the New Living Translation and put out by Tyndale. And this is this one I had from back in high school. This is bonded leather. Is the leather on the outside, which is bonded leather. If I'm understanding this right, is fake and real leather mixed. It makes it hold up a little bit better. As you can tell, I've had this for years and years and years, and the leather is holding up pretty well. It's a lot more plasticky though, looking than like a traditional leather. You're just gonna have to look at them and see what you like and what you don't like when you're picking one of these out. Most all of these translations are available in different covers, so you can get the cover that you like based on whatever you're looking for in the study Bible. You may not care. It's more about what's inside the cover than the cover, but there is something to be said for knowing what you're buying when you're looking and you're seeing these terms. They all mean different things, the different types of covers, so that's something worth considering. Now, the one thing about this study Bible, the Life Application Study Bible, is if you were with me when we were doing the video where we talked about the principles of Bible study, the basic principles. I talked about 3 different principles. I talked about how the goal is to make the journey over into the other culture that we're reading the text from, to essentially cross the bridge, learn what the text would have meant to the original audience and the original author, and then try to look for principles that we can carry back over the bridge, back into our own world, and then apply those principles to our lives. Basically one of the main principles behind what's called inductive Bible study, but really is one of the foundations of just about every kind of Bible study. Now, the other study Bibles I was showing you are going to take a much more helping you understand what's on the other side of the bridge approach. Okay? The Life Application Study Bible is going to actually come with you back over across the bridge and help you try to draw some applications. Okay? Now, that by itself is not a good thing or bad thing. It really is up to you and what you're looking for a study Bible. And it's tied to the New Living Translation, which, if you remember when we were going through different translations, you'll remember that the New Living Translation is probably the furthest over that's from word for word to thought for thought that I'm really comfortable with for in-depth Bible study, but it is a translation, but it's written to be much more readable, and so it's written to an audience that prefers the readability of the text, which is not a bad thing at all. If that's what you like, that's fine. Use it, like I said in that study as well, or in that video as well. Is if you're going to do that, read some of the other translations. I say to do that anyways, no matter what translation you start out with, no matter how word for word the translation is. Try to make that journey of reading several translations so that you can better understand what the text says. But if the primary of what you like reading is the New Living, that's a great study Bible. It's not going to have quite as many notes in it and articles as the NIV or the ESV one, but what it does, and it does have an introduction to each book and each section, and in that introduction it actually takes a much more streamlined approach to who the author is, what the audience is, and provides you a lot more content on application. How do you apply that text? And so for some people, when you're really struggling with application, that's going to help you. Now the goal is they're not going to draw all of the lines for you. They're not going to they're not giving you, there's no study Bible, there's no resource that's going to provide you with everything that you can learn from the Bible, because there's a lot of work that the Holy Spirit does. The primary work of Bible study is the Holy Spirit working on you and trying to make connections for you and help you have a real connection with the Bible and a real personal encounter with what the text has to say for you. And so for some of you, you're going to really appreciate that they help draw some of those applications out. So they kind of go that whole length. For me, I prefer to try to do that on my own. What I want from a study Bible personally is I want the information that's going to help me understand as I cross the bridge from my context over into the new context. I want to understand that context. I want to be able to understand some of the principles, that kind of thing you're going to pick up in most of the other study Bibles, and then I want to try to draw those back myself, because I don't want to be limited to the applications that the Life Application Bible sets out. Now, that's for me personally. Something that I've always said through these videos is my goal is not to replicate me in my study style with you. You may really like that. Now, here's my encouragement, is if you're going to use something like that, then don't stop there. Don't stop with their application and say, okay, they said this is the application of the whole text, of the whole book. You might be reading and they'll give you an application. They usually start out with an application for the entire book. If you're reading through the introduction to the book, they'll give you, for the entire book, here's an application for the entire book to give you a theme. The goal then is not to stop there and say, okay, that's the application, done. The goal is, no matter what, whether you use that Bible or a different Bible, is to continue on and to create for yourself your own application, to create, as you read on, more applications, to try to bring more from the text back with you so that you can create, so you can have for yourself that unique connection that only the Holy Spirit can give you, something that an author can't give you, but the Spirit working within you, God working within you, to help you understand the Bible and what it means. And so there's an overview of the study Bibles. If you have some notes as you're reading through a study Bible, please leave me a note, ask me a question. Feel free to ask me a question. I'll reach out to as many of them as I can answer. And what we'll do is, as we continue on, I'm going to share some more resources with you. All of those resources, and I did a video about online resources versus buying the physical book. So please watch that before you start buying a whole ton of resources, because if you start buying all physical books and you don't like books, you do have some online resources available to you. So you can watch that video and see what's available to you. You can also test run some of the resources to see what you get out of those just from looking at the different online resources that are available. One thing that I like about having physical books, and this is especially true about Bible, or I apologize for study Bibles. I really appreciate having the physical study Bible, and the reason I really appreciate having the physical study Bible is because I like to be able to read over the entire book. Sometimes when you're going through an online resource, you only have a certain part that's available, or they're trying to give you the most applicable portion of the text to the part that you're studying, and they're making decisions for you. When you have something like a study Bible that's really a compilation of a lot of different resources, that's very difficult to do. And so I like having the whole text in front of me. Now, maybe I'm going to develop it, the technology will develop, and I'll develop in my ability to use the technology, and I might change in the future, and I might decide to do more online study with study Bibles, but there are definitely some resources that are available for you. ESV, I go over all those in the online resources or the digital resources video. Check that out, and I'm going to link to the Amazon for all of these resources that I've named off, and a couple other study Bibles that I didn't specifically name. If you're a really big fan of the King James Version or the New King James Version, I don't have one, but Holman Bible Publishers actually puts out a very nice study Bible. I really like Holman Publishers and the work that they do. They do a lot of really good Bible resources, and so they put out a really nice. I believe they're one of the only full color King James Version study Bibles. It's the Holman King James Study Bible. So I'll link that to that too. If you're a big King James fan and you want something that's in the King James, absolutely go for it. That's a great study Bible. And I'm going to link to those for you as well. Now, there's other types of study Bibles other than the generic random study Bibles that I've pointed out here. These are general overview study Bibles, but study Bibles do get more intricate into different details. You can find student study Bibles that are written towards teens. They have a lot more notes that are towards issues that might help teens out more directly. There's some that are for parents, maybe for a mom's study Bible or women's study Bible. There's also ones that are suited out for men or fathers. There's a lot of those study Bibles that are available. If you'd like to see what some of the differences are, I'd encourage you get an ESV online subscription, esv.org, or go to Bible Gateway and check out their paid subscription series. You can try it for free if you want to kind of see what the study notes are. There's also an archaeological one that kind of goes over a lot more in depth about these civilizations and the historics. If you're a big history fan, if you're the old school traditional History Channel fan with the specials, that's something you'll probably really enjoy, is being able to read through that. They have a lot more resources like that. If you like that kind of thing, the two that I held up, the NIV's Undervan Study Bible and the ESV Study Bible, the NIV's Undervan actually has a lot more pictures of original relics and that kind of thing. paintings, that kind of thing, than the ESV. The ESV really doesn't have much at all. They have some illustrations and stuff, but the NIV Zondervan one actually has a lot more of those kinds of pictures right there in the text for you. And so there's a lot of different study Bibles that are available to you. In general, I think the notes are relatively similar. If you want something that really goes a lot more in depth, I would recommend NIV Zondervan Study Bible or the ESV, depending on the translation that you prefer reading through. And those are both great study Bibles. And all the study Bibles that I talked about here, I'm going to go ahead and link to in the notes. So go ahead and head down to the notes, and I'll go ahead and link to all that. And if you want the notes for all of these videos, you can always go to pastorzach.org. It's pastor, Z-A-C-H. Pastor, don't mind my stutter. Pastor, Z-A-C-H, Zach.org, and you can check out my, all of the blog has, every time I release a new video on the blog, all my notes are contained right in there, or right at the bottom of this video, whatever works best for you. So I hope this helps you pick out a study Bible, get to know a little bit more about what resources are available. You're going to learn a lot more if you just jump in, get a study Bible, jump in, start reading through it, start reading through some of the helps. They'll lay out for you how to read that study Bible, the particulars of that exact one. If they've got special, some of them have special text is highlighted differently or stylized differently, or maybe there's a symbol or an icon next to different bits of text, and they tell you in the study Bible how to read all that, how to go through that, and how they designed it to be read. So I recommend, if you get a study Bible, read the introduction. It's usually a few pages of how to read that specific study Bible, and this is really probably the fundamental resource that you're going to have in your Bible study whole catalog here of resources. If you start building up some of these resources, this is kind of the foundation of your resource. So spend a little time, maybe take a look at a couple. If you can find a brick and mortar bookstore, absolutely go in, take a look, page through some of them, go to Amazon, check them out. If you want to, the online resources, get a subscription, and go ahead and check that out. And in the meantime, have fun studying your Bible, and we look forward to seeing you next week.